Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm gonna read chapter 1 of The Capture in the Rye. I like this book. If you feel interested in this book after watching my video, why not check it out? This is a very classic novel, so you can find it easily at any bookstore. The Capture in the Rye, Chapter 1. If you really want to hear about, the first thing you probably want to know is where I was born and what my last child was like, and how my parents were occupied, and all before they had me. And all that David Copperfield kind of crap. But I don't feel like going into it if you want to know the truth. In the first place, that stuff bores me. And in the second place, my parents would have about 2 hemorrhages apiece if I told anything pretty personal about them. They were quite touchy about anything like that, especially my father. They were nice at all, I'm not saying that, but they were also touchy as hell. Besides, I'm not going to tell you about my whole goddamn autobiography or anything. I'll just tell you about this madman stuff that happened to me around last Christmas, just before I got pretty run down and had to come out here and take it easy. I mean, that's all I told DB about. And he's my brother at all. He's in Hollywood. That isn't too far from this clumsy place, and he comes over and visits me practically every weekend. He's going to drive me home when I go home this month, maybe. He just got a job. One of those little English jobs that can do around 200 miles an hour. It costs him damn near 4,000 bucks. He's got a lot of dough now. He didn't used to. He didn't used to. He used to be just a regular writer. When he was home, he wrote this terrific book of short stories, The Secret Goldfish, if in case you never heard of it. The best one in it was The Secret Goldfish. It was about this little kid that wouldn't let anybody look at his goldfish because he bought it with his own money. It killed me. Now he's now in Hollywood DB being a prostitute. If there's one thing I hate, it's the movies. Don't even mention them to me. Where I want to start telling is the day I left Pencil Prep. Pencil Prep is this school that's in Anchorstown, Pennsylvania. You probably heard of it. You probably seen the ads. Anyway, they advertise in about 1,000 magazines, always showing some hotshot guy on a horse jumping over a fence. Like as if all you ever did at Pencil was play polo all the time. I never even once saw a horse anywhere near the place. And underneath the guy on the horse picture, it always says, since 1888, we have been molding boys into splendid, clear-thinking young men, straightening for the birds. They don't do any damn more molding at Penn than they do at any other school. And I didn't know anybody there that was splendid and clear thinking at all. Maybe two guys, if that many. And that probably came to pass that way. Anyway, it was the Saturday of the football game with Sanson Hall. The game with Sanson Hall was supposed to be a very big deal around Pansy. It was the last game of the year. and you were supposed to commit suicide or something if old Panzer didn't win. I remember around 3 o'clock that afternoon, I was standing way the hell up on the top of Thompson Hill, right next to this crazy cannon that was in the Revolutionary War door. You could see the whole view from there, and you could see the two teams bashing each other all over the place. You couldn't see the grandstand. You couldn't see the grandstand too hard, but you could hear them all yelling deep and terrific on the expensive side, because practically the whole school, except me, was there, and Scooty and Fangy on the Sanson Hall side, because the visitor team hardly even brought many people with them. There were never many girls at all at the football game. Only seniors were allowed to bring girls with them. It was a terrific school, no matter how you looked at. I like to be somewhere at least where you can see a few girls around once in a while, even if they were only scratching their arms or blowing their nose, or even just giggling or something. Oh, Selma Thurmer. She was the headmaster's daughter, so that at the games quite often. But she wasn't exactly the type that drew you mad with desire. She was a pretty nice girl, though. I sat next to her once in the bus from Ankestan, and we sort of struck up a conversation. And neither. She had a big nose, and her nails were all beaten down and bleeding looking, and she had on those damn forces all pointing all over the place. But you felt sort of sorry for her. What I liked about her, she didn't give you a lot of horse manure about what a great guy her father was. She probably knew what foolish love he was. The reason I was standing way up on Thompson Hill instead of down at the game was because I just got back from New York with the fencing team. I was the goddamn manager of the fencing team. Very big deal. We got into New York that morning for this fencing meet with my birdie school. Only we didn't have the meet. I left all the foils and equipment and stuff on the goddamn subway. It wasn't all my fault. I had to keep getting up to look at this map so we know where to get off. So we got back to Pence around 2:30 instead of around dinner time. The whole team orchestrated me the whole way back on the train. It was pretty funny in a way. The other reason I wasn't down at the game was because I was on my way to say goodbye to old Spencer, my history teacher. He had agreed, and I figured I probably wouldn't see him again till Christmas vacation start. He wrote me this note saying he wanted to see me before I went home. I knew I wasn't coming back to Pansy. I forgot to tell you about that. He kicked me out. I wasn't supposed to come back after Christmas vacation on account of I was flunking 4 subjects and not applying myself at all. They gave me frequent warning to start applying myself, especially around midterm, when my parents come up for a conference with old Therma. But I didn't do it. So I got the X. They gave guys the S quite frequent at Pants. It has a very good academic rating, Pansy. It really does. Anyway, it was December at all, and it was cold as a witch's teeth, especially on top of that stupid hill. I only had on my reversible and no gloves or anything. The week before that, somebody stolen my camel's hair coat right out of my room with my fur-lined gloves right in the pocket door. Pants was full of clothes. Quite a few guys came from these very wealthy families, but it was full of clothes anyway. The more expensive a school is, the more clothes it has. I'm not kidding. Anyway, I kept standing next to that crazy cannon, looking down at the game and freezing my ass off. Only I wasn't watching the game too much. What I was really hanging around for, I was trying to feel some kind of goodbye. I mean, I've left schools and plays. I didn't even know I was leaving them. I hate that. I don't care if it is a sad goodbye or a bad goodbye, but when I leave a place, I like to know I'm leaving it. If you don't, you feel even worse. I was lucky. All of a sudden, a thought of something that hell made me know I was getting the hell out. I certainly remember this time in around October that I and Robert Titchener and Paul Campbell were chalking up football around in front of the academic building. They were nice guys, especially Titchener. It was just before dinner and it was getting pretty dark out. But we kept chucking the ball around anyway. It kept getting darker and darker, and we could hardly see the ball anymore. But we didn't want to stop doing what we were doing. Finally, we had to. This teacher that taught biology, Mr. Sambasi, stuck his head out of this window in the academic building and told us to go back to the dorm and get ready for dinner. If I get the chance to remember that kind of stuff, I can get a goodbye when I need one. At least, most of the time I can. As soon as I got, I turned around and started running down the other side of the hill toward old Spencer's house. He didn't live on the campus. He lived on Anthony Way Avenue. I ran all the way to the main gate, and then I waited a second till I got my breath. I have no wind, if you want to know the truth. I'm quite a heavy smoker. For one thing, that is, I used to be. They made me cut it out. Another thing, I grew 6.5 inches last year. That's also how I practically got tuberculosis and came out here for all these goddamn checkups and stuff. I'm pretty healthy though. Anyway, as soon as I got my breath back, I ran across Route 204. It was icy as hell, and I damn near fell down. I don't even know what I was running for. I guess I just feel like it. After I got across the road, I felt like I was sort of disappearing. I was that kind of crazy after it was that kind of crazy afternoon, terrifically cold and no sun out or anything, and you felt like you were disappearing every time you crossed the road. Boy, I rang that doorbell fast when I got to old Spencer's house. It was really frozen. My ears were hurt, and I could hardly move my fingers at the door. Come on, I said right out loud almost. Somebody open the door. Finally, old Mrs. Spencer opened. They didn't have a maid or anything, and they always opened the door themselves. They didn't have too much dough. Holden, Mrs. Spencer said. How lovely to see you. Come in, dear. Are you frozen to death? I think she was glad to see me. She liked me. At least I think she did. Boy, did I get in that house fast. How are you, Mrs. Spencer? I said. How's Mr. Spencer? Let me take your coat, dear, she said. She didn't hear me ask her how Mr. Spencer was. She was short deaf. He handled my coat in the hall closet, and I started brushed my hair back with my hand. I wear a crew cut quite frequently, and I never have bowed much. How've you been, Mrs. Spencer? I said again, only louder, so she heard me. So she hear me. I've been just fine, Holden. She closed the closet door. How have you been? The way she asked me, I knew right away old Spencer told her I'd been kicked out. Fine, I said. How's Mr. Spencer? He over his grip yet? Over it, Holden. He's behaved like a perfect. I don't know what. He's in his room, dear. Go right in.